welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for remaining with us, and you're still watching Financial Markets. My name is Anthony, and we are running through the markets here as, of course, they played out yesterday. But I felt like we needed a little brief, since we're winding up the week, about USE. Now, what is USE for starters, and when did it start? What is the mandate they have as Uganda Securities Exchange, and what are their objectives as an exchange? Today, by the way, Uganda Securities Exchange is holding their annual general meeting. Of course, they're a company limited by, of course, their nature. They're not listed on the exchange, so they don't have guarantee of share capital. But they were incorporated in 1997. That is when the company was first incorporated, and it was because as a result of government's need to publicize companies, to make them public, to turn away from government-owned companies into the people or private sector-based companies. This was when the Uganda Securities Exchange was birthed, after the Capital Markets Authority as well. And in this year in particular, government was looking at going private, seeing that many institutions were owned by government and many institutions and companies were running under government, but they wanted to turn them into a private sector basis to see that people grow in terms of their personal income, people grow in terms of what they can do on their own. But government did not want these private companies to go private entirely to individuals. You see, for example, if you own a bank, a commercial bank as government, and you give it to a certain individual, probably from Kenya, you're worried about the entire situation because you're worried that every piece of money this person is going to make may never be invested in Uganda. This is probably for his personal gain, probably for his personal development, but not for national development. So government decided to go to take these companies public, but to make them private, but still with the condition that at least these companies would list on an exchange that gives chance to people in the public to be part of these companies. And as a result, this exchange began, and we began with very few companies that were listing, of course, with several portions of their share capital being listed on the exchange there. And in a nutshell, these companies were able to get capital from the public as well, because ownership also requires a commitment, because as a shareholder in a company, you have a say because of how much you've invested in a company. And so these investors were able to be put on board through the listing of shares of these companies back in 1997. And several counters started coming in from Kenya. You see several counters coming in also from here in Uganda. You see Stanbic later coming in 2007, and so on and so forth. It was established here after, of course, government's policy of shifting from the public, from the government base to the public and private-based company. It has right now an organized market, one of the most organized financial securities market. And these, of course, also work with stockbrokers or dealers. And these, of course, represent the shareholders or the investors on behalf of the investors. And they bring in, the capital that is, of course, contributed to by the public. And as an alternative source of investment capital for large and small enterprises, the Uganda Securities Exchange represents a link between the public with the savings investors. And of course, these bring in the savings and what they have saved, and then put it into companies which are looking for cheap capital as well. And of course, this allows investors to become part owners of these companies. In October 2003, still about the Uganda Securities Exchange, they launched the Uganda Securities Exchange All Share Index. Now, this index looks at average performances of companies, all the listed companies, without discretion of either a listed, cross-listed, or a domestic company. And these companies this all-share index gave the companies something that we as investors can just look at and know the performance, the average performance of these companies. And this all-share index is a market-weighted average index comprising of all the listed stocks and on the bourse, which backdates as a base value of 100 points since December 31st, 2000. And that's when we had the basis points, of course, of 100 begin. In addition, the all-share index, to the all-share index, the USE published the local company index, which tracks the performance of the domestic equities on the exchange. Now, interestingly, in 2015, the month of July, about 8 years ago, you see that the exchange moved away from the open outcry system and to the automated system. And this automated system looks at trading online. And this is exactly how the exchange has evolved. Now, we have a video for you to watch and see how this journey has been for USE, how far they have come, and what it has taken to be where they are. Take a look.
Established in 1997, Uganda's Securities Exchange boasts of 24 years solid experience in operating an organized and regulated securities market since grant of its stock exchange license by the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda. The first listing on the exchange was corporate bond worth Uganda shillings 30 billion Uganda shillings issued by East Africa Development Bank within a year of opening the market. A year later, another corporate bond was listed, a 5-year bond issued by Eastern and Southern African Trade and Development Bank, PTA. In January 2000, the exchange welcomed its very first equity listing, Uganda Clays Limited. This maiden equity security listing raised Uganda shillings 1.3 billion during its initial public offer. That same year, British American Tobacco Uganda Limited floated its shares, making it the second divestiture of government-held shares in a company to take place through the exchange. The exchange pioneered the first cross-border listing in the East African region when it listed East African Breweries Limited in March 2001. A year later, the exchange welcomed its second cross-listing, the Kenya Airways, whose shares currently have blue-chip status on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. That same year, the first flotation of shares of a commercial bank occurred. Bank of Baroda offered 20% of its stocks to the public, making it the first financial institution to be listed on the exchange's main investment market segment. The IPO raised over 4 billion Uganda shillings with a 16.7% oversubscription. In 2003, the market witnessed the listing of the first medium-term note issued by Uganda Telecom. USE also launched its All-Share Index, a benchmark index for the Ugandan equity market that tracks the performance of the listed security equities. 2004, a significant milestone was achieved as the official listing of government securities commenced with a 20 billion treasury bond issued at a 20% coupon rate. Since then, over 300 government securities have been listed on the exchange. Between 2004-2009, USC was able to list various reputable companies like DFCU, Stanbic Bank, New Vision Printing and Publishing Company, NIC Holdings, and cross-list a few such as the National Media Group, Jubilee Holdings Limited, and KCB Bank. "2010 marked the dawn of a new era as USC's journey of digital transformation commenced with the automation of the Securities Central Depository, After nearly 11 years of paper share certificates, this was a first step towards achieving paperless securities transactions on the market. Currently, 99% of shares listed on the exchange are held by investors in dematerialized form. Between 2010 to 2012, the exchange would successfully implement bonus issuance by Stanbic Bank, another major cross-listing of the Centum Investment Company PLC Kenya, and welcomed the largest initial public offer yet from Umeme Limited, which attracted over 4,000 retail participants and raised approximately 171 billion Uganda shillings. Keeping its focus on the digital transformation, in 2015, USE's automated trading system was launched, marking the end of an open outcry trading system and ushering an automated market that delivered speed, accuracy, and efficiency greater than any human equivalent. This would later be complemented by the USE Easy Portal, launched as an electronic self-service portal that enables investors track their investment portfolios. Fast forward to 30th August 2017, the exchange achieved the significant milestone of demutualization. This process saw the exchange convert into a public company and, most importantly, establish governance structures that allowed separation of trading members' rights from their ownership rights to enhance accountability and objective market oversight. The exchange sought to maintain this momentum by unveiling a new image and in 2018 rebranded with a new vision to position itself as Uganda's preferred institution for investments and sourcing of capital through promoting safe, convenient, and sustainable investments and empowering investors through service excellence and innovation. In 2018, the exchange added to its official list the first Ugandan pharmaceutical company in Uganda, improving the diversity of the available sectors on the market. This year, USC's story has been a remarkable journey of resilience, agility, and innovation, refocusing its digital transformation journey by placing financial inclusion at the center. The exchange, through meaningful partnerships such as with MTN Momo, has championed the democratization of Uganda's stock market. This has led to exponential growth of investor in the market and the implementation of a first-of-a-kind e-IPO in the East African region. Today, the exchange celebrates another milestone that has pushed its boundaries yet again, with over $500 billion Uganda shillings raised in the market's largest initial public offering since its inception. The exchange welcomes MTN Uganda Limited, a new equity security, a new sector, and the promise of the market's limitless potential. Uganda Securities Exchange, inspiring growth.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is the journey of the Uganda Securities Exchange. A very elaborate journey there, a journey full of growth, a journey full of course, ups and downs, and a journey that is inspiring growth. And today, the exchange is holding their annual general meeting. Like I've told you, it is a company like any other company, but just dealing in securities. That's their mandate. And definitely today, they will also be sitting in their annual general meeting. One of the things that we are looking forward to as Ugandans on the Uganda Securities Exchange is the demutualization of the exchange to become a separate entity, and then later on, of course, be able to list on the exchange. That will be another milestone for the exchange, because as you know, it leads to growth, because if the exchange itself can trust that they will be able to raise capital on the exchange, they will be able to give value to their probably people that are interested in buying shares in the exchange, and they will also be able to hold annual general meetings the way we see other companies that are listed hold annual general meetings and be held accountable, to the shareholders, and also be able to release and publish their financial results for the years before. That will be so good an example, at least for other companies as well. As you know, when you look at our market, it is still quite young. You look at only 18 listed companies. You're looking at Kenya, which has over 65. Tanzania, we have over 29 companies, and so on and so forth. You look at grown exchanges like the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, which has over 300 plus listed companies, 100 plus companies in Nigeria listed, and so on and so forth. Meaning we still have a journey to go. And the more companies you have listing, the more activity, the more opportunities you have, and the more the value you're adding to companies, but the more the value you're also adding to the public by giving them chance to be shareholders in these companies. Of course, kudos to the Uganda Securities Exchange at the moment, as we also hope for more growth, as of course the motto goes, inspiring growth, as of course we also celebrate their annual general meeting today, saying that they're meeting as stakeholders in the company to also look into their books, to also look into their performance and find a way forward. That is, of course, a journey we shall keep sharing with you about the Uganda Securities Exchange. Even the data we share here is courtesy of the Uganda Securities Exchange there on the platform. Now let's move into the stock of Wumeme. We closed, of course, with the gainers, and of course we saw that we're only about 4 gainers. But among the bottom losers here, we see Wumeme here coming in. He didn't lose though this time round yesterday, but significantly there has been a drop in prices for Wumeme. And now when you look at the counter for Wumeme, Wumeme was first incorporated in Uganda as a private limited company in 2004, and later on it converted to a public company in 2012 under the Companies Act. However, Wumeme is a subsidiary of Wumeme Holdings, which is itself a subsidiary of Actis Infrastructure. And this Actis Infrastructure is a company from Madagascar. However, Wumeme took over the distribution and supply of electricity in Uganda in the year 2005 under a 20-year period concession period with the Uganda Distribution and Electricity Supply, the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited, that was, of course, then, before 2004, in charge of distributing electricity. Now, when it took over this, in 2012, it thought about listing on the exchange, and it got listed with an initial public offer where it raised a very huge amount of money, and their price was about 410 shillings. When they first listed on the exchange. And that was on the 30th of November, within the same year, 2012. Wumeme traded on the Uganda Securities Exchange under the ticker symbol UMEM, and its current securities identification number is UG00001145. That is the identification number of Wumeme stock on the stock market. Currently, Wumeme is the 10th most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, with a total market capitalization of over 309 billion Ugandan shillings, which makes about 1.38% of the total equity market share of the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, recently, we've seen Wumeme shares go down, share prices go down. And when you're looking at the stock market here, yesterday they traded a total volume of 14,100 shares, and at a total turnover of 2.68 million Ugandan shillings. They have a total number of 1.62 billion shares that are outstanding, and the market capitalization of 309 billion Ugandan shillings. Now, Wumeme closed the last trading day at 190 Ugandan shillings closing price per share, and Wumeme, however, began the year with a price of 180 Ugandan shillings per share. That is a difference of about 1 shilling, and has, of course, since gained about 0.53% on that price valuation from 189 comparing to 190 closing price yesterday, ranking it the 5th in terms of year-to-date performance here on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And however, you should take caution that regardless of the fact that it is in position number 5 in terms of year-to-date performance, Uganda still has recently registered very poor performance, having lost about 17% of its price valuation within the last 4 weeks. Within a month ago, Umeme has lost over 17%. And Umeme, however, on the recording of volumes, when we look at the volumes recorded, Umeme has still been one of the most traded stock, and precisely speaking, it is the second most traded stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange. That is looking at the last 3 months from April 28th to August 4th, 2022. Within this period, Umeme has traded a total volume of 28.8 million shares on the market, and it has had an average of about 457,574 traded shares per session, and a volume high of about 7.44 million shares that have been achieved on the 20th of May 2022 within the same period. Now, what is the worry? The worry is about the 4 weeks. The last 4 weeks have witnessed a loss of over 17% of the price valuation. But what can kind of soothe the feelings here is the fact that it is still the second most traded stock. Yes, much as the value is going down, but we are seeing huge amounts of volumes being traded on this counter on the market, with over 28.8 million shares that have been recorded within the last 3 months. And they have had volumes as high as 7 million on a single day trading. So in terms of activity, yes, Umeme is doing really, really good. But in terms of the prices, yes, very good. The curve is right there. You can see the curve almost plateau off at around 239 at some point between the month of April and the month of June. The curve there showed at least a very high pricing there of over 239. But as we speak, you can see very many red figures on that table right there, indicating subsequent losses within the last 4 weeks, which have been, of course, registered on the counter from over averages of 239 to 190. What should we do in this case? Well, my advice, one would be buy Umeme stock, because we don't know when it could go back up again. Definitely most people could attribute the prices going up between the month of April and the month of June because the company had declared a very attractive dividend, over 54.9 Ugandan shillings per share. So everyone who had 1,000 shares was walking away with almost 55,000 on every for their shares. People who had 1 million shares, you're walking away with over 54 million shares, million Ugandan shillings. So then we had several people buy and sell, buying, and that's why probably we see the price being driven up. But we see that that did not last, and the company prices went down. But I'm telling you this, and I don't know if I'm a prophet of doom, but we are saying that these stocks should actually be able to go up anytime soon. So it is a time to buy. When it comes to the Umeme counter, it's not a time to worry, and of course a time to panic sell. That is the worst decision you can make on the stock market, to panic sell. So if you are there, you are looking at buying stock, I've just given you hinters right there on Umeme. It is a stock that has been performing extremely well over the last several months, but just had of course, a drop in prices recently in the past 4 weeks, shedding off over 17% of its stock. But I'm telling you, And I don't know if I'm a prophet of doom. This price would go up anytime soon. So it is a time to buy some stock at Wumeme. Let's take a very quick break and we return with more. You're still watching Financial Markets.